She buckled up religiously. What kept her from wearing it that night? Princess Diana's death on August 31st, 1997, in Paris is still remembered worldwide. However, decades later, investigators found unsettling evidence in her car concerning the crash scene. These surprising findings and sad facts illuminate the People's Princess's dying moments. The surprise discovery was what? Discover the shocking contents of Princess Diana's collision car. In the early hours of August 31st, 1997, a twisted Mercedes lay crushed beneath Paris Pont de l'Alma tunnel. The world's most renowned lady, Princess Diana, was struggling for her life inside. The crash stunned the world, but its doubts persist. After 20 years, investigators found more than just tragedy in the wreckage. Unsettling questions linger from August 31st, 1997. Night had become a perfect pandemonium storm. The final hours of Princess Diana's life were strange and unpredictable. In Paris' Ritz Hotel, after postponing supper, she and Dodi Fayed returned suddenly. The reason? An increasing crowd of photographers outside flashing their cameras. The glaring light, gossip, and supposition had converted a calm evening into stress. Secretly, a new plan was being developed. Dodi wanted no more public conflict. A snap choice: leave by a rear service exit. The photographer watched as two decoy cars left from the front, then the genuine getaway vehicle, a black Mercedes S280, with Diana Dodi, bodyguard Trevor Rees-Jones, and Ritz security manager Henri Paul took off. But paparazzi persisted. Cameras swung and scooters shouted as the Mercedes drove away after midnight. The chase began. Witnesses saw motorcyclists swerving recklessly between automobiles. Diana and Dodi had a momentary advantage, but the terror erased it. The Mercedes accelerated through the streets toward the Pont de l'Alma tunnel. The automobile accelerated into the tunnel instead of turning right toward Dodi's flat, changing everything in 1 minute. The Mercedes smashed into the tunnel's 13th pillar. The crash was violent and fatal. Dodi Fayed and Henri Paul died instantly. Trevor Rees-Jones nearly survived. Although hectic, rescue responders found Princess Diana, badly injured, breathing. Flashbulbs kept firing as physicians tried to reach her. The wreckage was just one element of the aftermath. Confusion reigns. The contradictions piled up. Diana's Mercedes wreckage revealed more than damage. The night was full with unanswered questions. Even now, the answers are unsettling. Why did the motorist avoid the safest exit? Is he intoxicated, framed, or something more complex? Find out. The driver. Since that terrible night, Henri Paul, the driver, has remained a mystery. Henri Paul was no ordinary driver. As deputy head of security at the Ritz Hotel in Paris, he dealt with celebrities, politicians, and high-profile guests. He exuded veteran confidence. However, August 30th, 1997, seemed odd. Paul vanished after his shift ended at 7 p.m. Neither his whereabouts nor his actions were known for nearly 3 hours. That time gap is one of the case's most troubling riddles. Suddenly, he was called back to the Ritz around 10 p.m. In minutes, he prepared the escape plan that would send Princess Diana and Dodi Fayed into the Pont de l'Alma tunnel into catastrophe. The following evidence makes this story stranger. Paul had blood alcohol levels 3 times the French legal limit, according to official testing. In theory, he should have been too inebriated to drive. However, Ritz cameras showed a different picture. Paul moved smoothly, greet staff politely, and bend down to tie both shoes without faltering, according to surveillance footage. He spoke clearly, stood still, and acted precisely. He even laughed and joked with co-workers, showing his control. Trevor Rees-Jones, Princess Diana's bodyguard and the crash's sole survivor, claimed that Paul appeared sober. He never thought Paul was drunk. Deeper inconsistencies. Lord Stevens, the Operation Paget investigation's top officer, met Henri Paul's parents secretly weeks after the crash. He promised not to represent their son as inebriated, according to police records. The narrative changed drastically in his final public report. Henri Paul was suddenly classified severely inebriated and would have faced criminal prosecution if he lived. If Paul wasn't drunk, the blood tests and official account must be questioned. The missing hours of his evening may reveal whether he was meeting someone, coerced, or set up. That night's events may explain Henri Paul's tunnel decisions and why others wanted to believe he was drunk. Just when the narrative couldn't get any thornier, rumors about another car that wasn't meant to be there emerged. They found what in the car? Let's investigate. Investigators found something odd in the Pont d'Alma tunnel's gloomy, echoing walls. The The Mercedes' twisted wreckage held fragments that conveyed a different story. Light and faint white paint streaks, crimson tail shards. Diana's automobile didn't have these. They matched a white Fiat Uno. This discovery was unusual. No official reporting mentioned the little, ordinary Fiat. No one who witnessed it clearly testified. No license plate was ever photographed, but its existence was clear. The Mercedes was marked by contact. Laboratory tests showed that the expensive car's right side had Fiat Uno paint. Something had happened, a scrape, nudge, or deliberate hit. Shortly before the crash, a terrifying question arose. Did this mystery automobile prevent the Mercedes from leaving the tunnel or force it into the deadly 13th pillar? French police searched over 4,600 automobiles for explanations. The mysterious Fiat never appeared. Still, doubts developed. Mohammed Al-Fayad's detectives thought they solved the riddle. They focused on James Anderson, a famous paparazzo obsessed with Diana and Dodi. His car was white Fiat Uno. Several versions say he followed the couple on their Mediterranean vacation and boasted of being near the tunnel that fateful night. Soon later, investigators located Anderson's Fiat Uno, but it looked different. Replaced taillight. The most unsettling twist followed. Anderson died in rural France in 2000. He was found dead in a burned-out automobile in a woodland. Authorities promptly deemed it suicide by self-immolation, but suspicions spread quickly. His body was almost completely cremated with no lighter or suicide note. What was Diana fleeing or pursuing that tragic night? Let's examine her clothes and possessions. Ring before crash. Dodi Fayad entered Raphael Raposo, a Parisian luxury jewelry store, casually a few hours before the world-shaking disaster. He didn't come by chance. He had a personal goal. He chose a ring from the jeweler's Dismois WI series, meaning say yes, within, away from the prying public. The ring was understated. It didn't have big diamonds to draw attention. It was a simple gold band, elegant, refined, and subtle, with more meaning than sparkle. The ring whispered promises, not wealth. After choosing it, Dodi had it quietly transported to the Ritz Hotel, where he and Princess Diana were staying that night. Instead of being shown, it was locked in a safety deposit box with concealed meaning. The meaning of this ring was soon revealed. Dodi had shown Diana the brochure previously, and after the crash, this modest piece of jewelry became a global talking point. It wasn't only the ring causing suspicion. Diana's pregnancy rumors arose. A gossip mill ran wild. Some newspapers ringed her abdomen and paparazzi photos of her in a swimsuit on vacation with Dodi, claiming a baby bulge. Friends said she was radiant, while others said she was discussing great news. For those who believed, the puzzle parts fit well. An engagement ring, a pregnancy, and a love tale that united Diana with a non-royal. As detectives went deeper, real evidence challenged these romantic notions. Blood samples from the crash site were forensically tested. Such examinations showed no biological indicators of pregnancy. The formal inquest revealed that Diana was using contraceptive pills, which her doctor and medical documents corroborated. These details revealed a different image. Diana's close friends and circle testified later. Diana's passionate and thrilling relationship with Dodi was still new, they said. He gave romance, spontaneity, and freedom, which she liked. They said there had been no serious discussions of engagement or starting a family. Diana found satisfaction in the relationship after years of scrutiny and personal upheaval, but it was not the start of a second marriage. Not everyone bought this conclusion. Dodi's father, Mohammed Al-Fayed, led the opposition. Mohammed, a wealthy and powerful man, believed his son and Diana were in love and planning a life together. He said Diana was pregnant, a genuine engagement. The horrific crash was no accident to him. He claimed that British officials, frightened by the notion of a Muslim man fathering a future king's step-sibling, had arranged the event to prevent it. Diana's death inquest thoroughly investigated these claims. Interviews and medical records were examined, and all evidence examined. Lord Stevens, who led the British probe, presented his findings clearly. Diana was not pregnant or engaged. His team's conclusion was based on science, testimony, and wreckage evidence. Despite the official conclusions, the ring's meaning remains. Some see it as a love story cut short before its next phase. Others see it as jewels exaggerated into mythology by the world's urgent attempt to make sense of a senseless catastrophe. Another force was active while that ring was kept away. An even more frightening presence had been following them all night, unrelated to love or secrets. It had flashing LEDs, unrelenting pursuit, and an insatiable visual appetite. How did paparazzi contribute? Find out. The paparazzi. Paparazzi have always been contentious. When the black Mercedes stopped in the Alma Tunnel that fatal night in Paris, its body was crushed and its steel twisted beyond recognition. Photographers were present. Several witnesses, including two American tourists in a taxi, recounted a terrifying scene. In addition to flames and burning metal, the tunnel was alive with camera shutters clicking rapidly. Paparazzi surrounded the wreck, not to aid but to take pictures. Some clambered on the car's hood, their sneakers scraping dented metal, while others leaned into shattered glass to shoot. They didn't look like witnesses to passers-by. They circled the wounded like vultures feeding on tragedy. Drive-by French Dr. Frederick Mallet was among the first to arrive at the crash site. He initially had no idea who the victims were. He only knew there were lives to save. Based on instinct, he ran forward, opened the door, and began treating a seriously injured but breathing woman. That Princess Diana was the woman he was striving to save was revealed later. He cleared her airway fast and helped however he could until emergency workers came. But even in life-or-death situations, he could not avoid the sound of cameras clicking. He later said it was alarming because the photographers stood and observed, not because they interfered, more interested in taking pictures than helping. Their activities were ambiguous legally. That night, French police arrested 7 photographers. Some spent the night in jail and were charged with failing to help accident victims, a serious French offense. Charges of manslaughter or crash culpability were swiftly dropped. Eventually, the charges and any penalty evaporated. Many of their photos were never published. Some were discreetly taken, others kept away forever. Trevor Rees-Jones, Diana's bodyguard and the crash's sole survivor, found the photographers insulting, overwhelming, and emotionally distressing. Rescue teams were not physically impeded by photographers. The tunnel became hideous due to their flashing cameras. Instead of a site where rescue workers might save lives, it became a stage with constant flashes, as if Diana's dying fight were a film. It hindered dignity, he said. Here was the real terror. Whether photographers caused the disaster or not, they influenced Diana's final moments. Years ago, she publicly discussed the constant camera attention. She highlighted the loneliness and emotional toll of constant attention. Cameras were her last sight the night she died, at her most vulnerable. Photographers weren't the only ones asking about that night. They got larger and stranger over time, reaching beyond the tunnel. Investigations, legal errors, and strange delays ensued. French officials erred. Some of the worst were from the systems supposed to reveal the truth. A decade passed before Britain held a proper inquest into Princess Diana and Dodi Fayed's deaths. 10 years of silence, rumors, and mistrust. Trust had eroded before trials commenced. 4 coroners were given the case, but left. One by one. 2 resigned under pressure, 1 died before proceedings, and another was forced to retire when detractors said she lacked jury management skills. This rotating door of authorities seemed to many like a strategy to obstruct, delay, or even hide the facts. When Lord Justice Scott Baker took over the inquest, public patience was waning. Many publicly questioned the delay's intent. This inquiry promised to be unique from the start. A nice formality was not expected. The coroner gave the jurors a shocking 20 important questions, not ambiguous closure gestures. They were precise and disturbing. Did Diana ever worry about her life? If so, why? Find out. Diana's Fears, an inquest. Princess Diana penned in October 1996 a disturbing letter to her butler, Paul Burrell. She said her spouse planned an accident, a car problem, a brake failure, and a catastrophic head injury. She felt monitored and warned her barrister, Lord Mishkin, that people were planning against her. Though private, these anxieties were written down, discussed, and recalled. Most people dismissed them as stress or fantasy, but years later, when her remarks were read in court, they seemed too real. Indeed, Lord Mishkin found it hard to believe. When he told Scotland Yard Commander Jeff, the commander astonishingly claimed he partly believed it. Only during the inquest did that confession arise. The automobile crash may have ended it. Diana had long suspected a trap, and investigators identified more shadows, some with CIA ties. Secret Service rumors intensified after her death. Dodi's father, Mohammed Al-Fayed, labeled it murder within minutes of the news. He feared Diana's bond with his son threatened the monarchy and that strong forces wanted her silenced. Diana admitted to being tracked. At her inquest, MI6 was accused of tapping her phones and tracking her. Lord Stevens, who led Operation Paget, received rare MI6 records. He said no assassination plot was found. Critics wondered if any records were removed or never written. Henri Paul was also noticed. Ritz's security chief and nighttime driver. French intelligence had utilized him in hotel investigations, so some suspected he was more than an employee. Medical care timelines were another issue. Diana waited 1 hour and 43 minutes in an ambulance before being operated on, despite the crash being 3 miles from one of Paris' best trauma hospitals. Doctors stabilized her on site before carefully transferring her across the city, following French protocol. Emergency personnel praised this approach, but some questioned why a dying lady wasn't taken to the nearest hospital. Diana went into cardiac arrest in the ambulance and was revived, but her injuries were severe. When surgeons opened her chest, her damaged pulmonary vein made survival unlikely. Doctor, first on scene. Frederick Mail stated she seemed asleep and denied paparazzi interfered with his job. She appeared uninjured, but her internal damage was irreparable. Investigators searched the Mercedes wreckage for clues. Broken pearls from Diana's last night were found in the back seat. Later blood tests ruled out pregnant, but no journal or purse. The brakes, tires, and steering were checked by mechanics. No sabotage was found. Many things didn't make sense. Critical CCTV cameras were missing, misaligned, or not recording. Many witnesses reported seeing Fiat Uno film, but none existed. No crash moment photos. Just hours later, at 10:30 a.m., the tunnel reopened, adding to the uneasiness. Cars drove by before detectives got enough proof. The situation was too soon cleaned. More than 25 years later, millions still mourn Diana's death. The official verdict is a tragic accident, but questions remain. The astonishing Diana crash car revelation. What do you think? Tell us in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe.